Alright guys, welcome back. Okay, so in our last video, what we did was we did a simple, an extremely super simple example of VLANs. Okay, we literally just had one switch and two computers. Okay, I suggest you watch that video. That way you can go ahead and see what we're building upon. In this particular example, now we basically doubled the situation. Okay, so now we have four computers and we have two switches. Okay, and just so you guys can look at the configuration, I saved a little bit of time. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at and see what we have. So we're gonna go ahead and put show VLAN brief because we're talking about. We don't want to config just yet. Show VLAN brief. Okay, so we can figure out where we are. As you guys can see, we have technically four VLANs. We have the default VLAN, we have the native VLAN, we created the yellow 10 VLAN and the blue 20 VLAN. As you can see, none of these interfaces are actually in there. That's for our switch 0. Let's go to switch 1. Let's go ahead and let's take a look. Show VLAN brief. Okay, and we have something similar as well. Okay, so we have our VLAN, default VLAN. We have our yellow 10 VLAN, and we have our VLAN 20, which is blue, and we have the native VLAN, which is 99. Okay, with this, believe it or not, we configured in the background. That's not something that you would necessarily see right off the bat. That's something we can talk about later on. But just know there is a difference between the default VLAN and the native VLAN. Okay, just keep that in mind. Keep that in your back of the head. But nonetheless, right now, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that since none of these computers are technically on a VLAN and they're all on the same network, okay, this is 192.168.0.1, this is .2, this is .10, this is .20. Let's confirm that with a ping, okay? And as you guys can see, I've been actually working on this, but let's go ahead, let's do it together. So I am on PC2, which is 192.168.0.10. I'm going to ping, let's ping .1. Okay, so 192.168.0.1 and success. Okay, so that ping was successful. Now we're going to ping 192.168.0.2. Okay, that looks good. Now we're going to ping 192.168.0.20. Okay, and success. So we know that this PC, as of right now, with the configurations that we had, we just created the VLANs. We haven't put any switches on any, we haven't put any of the interfaces on any of the VLANs. So right now we have connectivity. So now this situation is different from the previous situation. Okay, and what we're going to talk about is the access ports versus trunk ports. Okay, and the way you can think about this is anytime you have an end host such as a computer, okay, plugged into a switch, that's going to be an access port. Anytime you have a switch connected to another switch, that's going to be a trunk port. So in order for this to work, one, we have to make sure that we place our interfaces on the appropriate VLANs. And then two, we have to make sure that our ports are essentially configured correctly. We have our access port and we have our trunk port. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So let's go ahead. We had yellow. Okay, so I believe VLAN. Let's see here. Fill color. We're gonna go with yellow. Oops. Let's go here. Let's try it again. Let's delete this. And one thing that I like to do and that I highly recommend, if you're studying for your CCNA or what have you, you got to get organized, guys. You honestly, truly, genuinely have to get organized. So taking the extra time to go ahead and actually label this, not only is it going to help you, but it's going to help others if they're trying to read your map and so on and so forth. So let's make sure we have that correct. So VLAN 10, okay, that's going to be yellow. It's going to be yellow. And 2, that's going to be blue. And that's going to be blue. So as you guys can see, technically, we have not configured any of this. So let's make sure. So this was connected to this switch. Let's go ahead and connect this on, let's go fast Ethernet 20, okay? And let's go for this, we'll go with fast Ethernet 10. Okay, hopefully you guys saw that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to enable config T. Okay, we're gonna go to interface fast Ethernet 0/20. Okay, switch port mode access. Okay, looks like I spelled something wrong. No worries. Switch port mode access. Okay, and we're gonna go to switch port access VLAN, and this was VLAN 20. Okay, now we're gonna go to the next interface, which we said it was going to be 10. So let's exit out of here. We're going to go to interface, fast Ethernet 0/10. We're going to go to switch port mode access. Okay, switch port mode access. We're going to go to switch port access VLAN. This is going to be VLAN 10. Okay, now let's double check our work. Let's see what's going on. So let's go to show VLAN brief. All right, so we see here we have VLAN 10, which is yellow. Now we have our fast Ethernet 0/10, which is this. The link is still, it's trying to get come up right now, as you can see. And we have our fast Ethernet 0/20, which is right here. Okay, so now let's do the same thing on the other switch. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that rather quickly here. So we're going to go to enable config T interface. And actually, before we even do that, let's make sure that we connect this to the same situation. So this is on fast Ethernet 0/10. This is on fast Ethernet 0/20. Okay, so we go to interface fast Ethernet /10. Okay, we're gonna go to switch port mode access. Okay, let's do that. We're gonna go to switch port access VLAN, and that's going to be VLAN 10. Now we're going to exit out of there. We're going to go to interface fast Ethernet 0/20. We're going to go to switch port mode access. We're going to go to switch port mode access VLAN 20. Okay. Invalid. Okay, let's see. Why is it invalid? Let's double check. What did we do wrong here? Let's exit out of there. It was the command. Switchport access VLAN 20. And it's still invalid. Interesting. Anyone figure out what I'm doing wrong? Let's start from the beginning. Config T interface fast Ethernet 0/20. Okay, we're gonna go to switchport mode access, switchport access VLAN 20. And that worked. We can try to figure out, what did we do wrong? Did we spell something wrong? Looks like maybe. You guys saw what I did wrong? Fine. Switchport mode access. Interesting. I went ahead and I put the invalid command. See? It was supposed to be switchport mode access. So that would go ahead and enable the interface, and then switchport, and I put mode access again, which gave me the invalid. The correct configuration, the correct command should have been switchport access VLAN 20. So I put mode in twice, and it happens. Okay, so now we're here. Let's go ahead. We did it correctly. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. Let's go ahead and click show VLAN brief. Perfect. Okay, so now we're here. Now, before we went ahead and we had connectivity. Okay, so you guys can see here, this computer was able to talk to all three. Now, let's go ahead and try it again. So this computer, okay, I want you to ping this computer. So 192.168.0.1. And it looks like we got a reply. Okay, so now I want you to ping 92.168.0.2. Let's see what happens here. Interesting, not working. If you learned from the last video, or if you saw the last video, you would see that technically this ping should not be successful. Now let's go to pinging PC3. PC3, we're going to ping 192.168.0.20. Okay, and we talked about this before. Notice how it's technically on the same network with regards to the IP address. Okay, it's within the same network. This computer is attached to this switch when this computer is attached to this switch. So let's try to see what happens when we ping. And as you guys can see, technically we do not have a successful ping as what we would expect from our virtual local area network, because this computer is on a different local area network. It's on a logical different local area network compared to this computer that's on a different logical local area network. Now, the one thing I did not show, and we can highlight, is go ahead and see this here. Let's connect this to fast Ethernet 2022. Okay, and let's connect this to fast Ethernet 0/22. Okay, and we're gonna try this ping again because I did a couple things in the background, but I want to go ahead and I really want to drive this example home. Okay, so we'll wait for this links to come up. Just be patient with me, because remember what we talked about. This computer is in an access port. This computer is in an access port. This computer is in an access port. This computer is in the access port. And you guys literally saw me do the commands right in front of you. Now, what we're going to do, okay, as you can see, before this computer was able to ping this computer. Let's try it again after we switch the interfaces. So 192.168.168.0.1. Okay, let's try it again. Interesting. It's not working. Why not? Okay, we'll go ahead. We'll leave it here, but I want you guys just to think about that. Okay, why did it not work?